All right, today we're looking at 1.39 acres in Georgia for about 14K. And in this video, I'm going to cover the top things that will help you determine whether this lot is the right fit for you based on my experience selling almost 700 parcels of land. So let's start with location. So this property is located in northern Georgia. This is around the start of the Blue Ridge Mountain foothills. You can see here we're very close to national forests, and there's actually a wildlife management area just to the south of the property. You can also see here that we are in hilly mountain area. So this is a spot where people are looking for kind of vacation second homes in the mountains, or maybe a primary home in an area that is much quieter, surrounded by nature, away from the hustle and bustle of the city. So it is an area in nature. You're also just outside of a few small towns as well, and we can look at what amenities are nearby in a little bit. But first, I do want to show you what the property looks like. So let's see. This is on the ground footage of the property. So again, you can see here that the terrain is sloped. We are in a hilly area. That is something to keep in mind, that you will need to deal with that sloped terrain if you wanted to build. That's pretty common in this area, however. So I imagine local contractors are somewhat familiar with working with this kind of terrain. Now, I did mention who this property is for. I also want to mention who it's not for. This property would not be for someone looking for a lot, obviously, in the middle of a city. But because we are in a more rural, natural area, you're not necessarily going to get all the amenities you get on more suburban lots, like public utilities, and of course, immediate proximity to grocery stores and things like that. I will also be upfront that this property is in an HOA or POA. That's not for everyone. So if you're looking for unrestricted land, this would not be the right property for you. But if you are looking for land in a wooded mountain setting or hilly setting, natural setting, that does actually come with more maintained roads, some security, some kind of standards around what people can do with the properties, then this might be a good fit. Right, so here's some photos. All right. Now, before we move away from location, I do want to talk a little bit about the surrounding area, because I know one question that always comes up is whether you are actually close enough to grocery stores, hospitals, all of that. So first, we can take a little look in a little more detail here. You see that this particular area, there are homes, but it is very lightly developed. So you're not going to have neighbors right on top of you. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of privacy here and a lot of space, and the area is very, very green. So that's its defining characteristic. Right, in terms of market, or grocery store, I should say, we do have grocery stores, all various options all along Highway 411 here. So that's going to be, say if we look at Dollar General, that's going to be about 15-20 minutes away. And then we can also check for a hospital. So over here in Calhoun, the county seat, there is a hospital, and that is about 35-40 minutes away. Calhoun also has a lot of amenities. So if for the weekend, when you want to go to a main grocery store, they have Aldi, they have a library as well. They have a lot of other amenities that you would expect from more of a mid-sized town. So the next big question, now that we've covered location, of course, would be, what can you do with the property? So as I mentioned, this isn't an HOA. This is in Talking Rock Creek. And can go to their website here. So this is their website, trcra.com. You can find it just by searching Talking Rock Creek as well. So just from their website, we can see a few things about how they describe themselves. They are a community in the North Georgia mountains. So again, this is a community that's targeting people who want a mountain property in a more natural setting, as we've been saying. So it's known for its picturesque views, seclusion, and tranquility. And it is a gated community. I know that's important for some people who are maybe a little bit concerned about security as they move out to a more rural setting. They do have a number of amenities like a recreation center. There's a lake in the community, a bunch of trails, a pool, and a lodge. So they do provide some amenities here. And you can see they have a pool as well. And they help make sure that the roads are in decent condition. Now, they do have, like most HOAs, they do have some covenants that dictate what can be built on properties. So another thing that I do want to be upfront about here is that mobile homes would not be allowed on this property. So this is not a mobile home lot. They do say that prefabricated or modular homes can be permitted, but you would need to get approval from the Architectural Review Board. So that's something you can keep in mind as a potential option as long as the review board approves it. And they do allow RVs on a temporary basis, but not obviously for long-term living. The other thing I'll say is all dwellings, they do want to be at least 1,050 square feet. But other than that, the restrictions are fairly light. I'm pulling up the original ones here. I would confirm this with the HOA, but it does look like animals might be allowed. And other than that, they want to ensure that you install a septic system that meets all county guidelines, which you'd have to do anyway. And they just want to make sure lots aren't going to become like dumping grounds or, junkyards, which that's actually one of the primary advantages of an HOA is it does keep surrounding properties from becoming dumping grounds and junkyards. All right, so that's the HOA. We do have the CCRs on our listing page if you want to review them. The HOA also has them on its website. You can just Google Talking Rock Creek Resort Association. All right, so another question I know is that's very important is what utilities are available. So electricity does run through the subdivision. It's provided by Georgia Power, and you can always contact them to get information about hooking up power to the lot. This is a more rural area, so you would be looking at well and septic for water and sewer. And again, that's pretty common in rural areas. But I do want to pull up quickly the soil map here so we can evaluate septic feasibility. Right, so one thing that we always look for before we buy a property is whether the soil, the predominant soil, or the soil that's on most of the lot, is also on properties that have homes built on them. So you can see here that the soil type on the property pretty much covers the entire area. And we do see that there are homes in this area that have been built on and that have the same soil type. So that's generally a good sign for septic, though of course it doesn't replace a PERC test. And I also want to call out a few other things here, characteristics of the property that are important to know as you're evaluating whether this property might be a good fit for you or not. So contour lines, as we saw from the drone footage, this is a more mountainous area, so it is a sloped lot. You can see here. The approximate elevation is about 1,000 feet, and it does slope down because there is a creek just to the east of the property, so terrain sloping down to the creek. Now, the property is not in a special hazard flood zone. There is, again, a creek nearby, but the property itself is not in a special hazard flood zone, which is good because it does mean you won't have those additional flood insurance requirements or potential elevation, home elevation requirements. There also are no wetlands on the property, another very important thing to check for because they can really limit how much of the lot you can build on if there are wetlands on the property. So there aren't, which is a great sign here. All right, and we covered soils as well. I'll also note it does look like there's an aquifer under the property. So because you need a well, that's a good sign. But we also know that people are building here, so people are able to install wells. All right, so that would bring us to the last major element here, which is price, of course. How much does the property cost? So before I get into that, I do quickly want to introduce myself. So my name is Erica, and I have a company that sells vacant land. Our mission is to help people across the country become landowners and build their own version of the American dream. We've helped close to 700 people buy land at this point, and you can find all of our listings at land.goatcap.com. Now, I will note that I'm not a real estate agent. I only sell properties that my company owns. What that means is that we can offer owner financing on all of our properties. And we can also offer them at a little bit of a discount because we remove some of the typical middlemen, you would say, like agents. But we do have properties throughout the US. So if this property doesn't work for you and you are looking at other states, you can check out our other properties here. We also do have a few other properties in Georgia, 3 at the moment. So again, if this property doesn't work for you, you can check out those here on the map. The property we are looking at today, however, is number 531 on our listing page. It's the property on Carmen Way in Gordon County, Georgia. Now, quick note, this number here is our internal numbering system. So you're not going to find this number on the deed. But if you did want to find the property on our website, you would look for 531. And if you do call the county to do your research, you would identify the property using this number here, the assessor's parcel number. All right, price. Let's get to the most important thing. Okay, so we have this lot listed at $13,997 plus the dock fee. And as I mentioned, we do offer owner financing as well. Now, you won't see set owner financing terms here, and that is because we tailor our owner financing terms to meet the needs of each individual buyer. It's always personalized. That way, we can help make sure that the property is actually affordable for your budget. So what I do always say is, if you're interested in owner financing, please reach out to us and let us know what kind of down payment and monthly payment would work for your budget, and we will come up with terms that make the property affordable for you. I do want to be upfront, however, with a few of our owner financing requirements or restrictions, what have you. The first is that the higher the down payment, the lower the interest rate. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about your budget. The second is that we do say there's no building on or living on the property until the end of the loan term. And this is for liability reasons, but you can use the property for recreational purposes as long as you're in compliance with all local rules and regulations. And you can make minor improvements, so things like fencing, clearing, grading. Generally, anything that doesn't require a permit. So if you're thinking of doing a few things to get the property ready before you pay off the loan, just let us know up front and we'll work with you. I'll also say that there's no prepayment penalty. So you can always pay off the loan early, save on interest, and get started building. In fact, if you pay off early enough, we will give you cash back. So if you pay off in 6 months, you'll get 5% cash back on the purchase price. And if you pay off in 12 months, you'll get 2.5% cash back on the purchase price. Now, another thing that I like to mention is that we do have a 365-day land exchange guarantee. And we created this because I had heard from previous buyers that one of their biggest concerns was maybe all the potential that they wouldn't know all the due diligence things, all the important due diligence steps before buying a property. And so you might buy a property and find later that it doesn't work for them. So to help solve for this, we did create a 365-day land exchange guarantee. It basically, the way it works is in the first year, you can exchange the property for any other property in our inventory. All you have to do is pay another doc fee, but we'll move all of your principal payments over to the new property in order to make sure you get a lot that really works best for you. It's kind of like GPS for owner financing, just like if you take a wrong turn, your GPS will reroute you. If you end up with a property that doesn't quite work for you, we can always reroute you to a different property. So we do have that. The other thing that we put together is a landowner success bundle, and this comes free with every purchase. It's actually a set of 9 bonuses that we put together to help you get the most from your land. And these include preferred access to mobile home developers or manufacturers and dealers. So these are exclusive offers you get as a Gökçe Capital purchaser. You can also join monthly landowner Q&A calls with me. So if you have questions after you purchase the property, like next steps, things you should think about, you can join these calls and get one-on-one or small group support with me. Every purchase also comes with a complimentary vacation voucher, which is valid for a 3-night hotel stay in one of over 50 global locations, and a hotel savings card, which has a $500 value that you can use to buy down hotel stays throughout the US. And we created these to help offset the cost of going to visit the property or move, or maybe just a vacation to celebrate land ownership. You can also request a free architectural consultation with me. So you can go over the next steps, things you should think about if you want to build on the property. And you do get our homesteading guide and building and zoning guide. Now, I will note on these are not short PDFs. We spent a good couple months putting these together. They're about 100 pages and they cover everything that we think you should know about homesteading or building based on our experience in selling close to 700 parcels. You'll also get a post-closing checklist to help you get started on the right foot and our neighbor lookup tutorial. So again, all of these come free with every purchase. You get them when the deed's recorded. That's either upfront with a cash sale or at the end of the loan term with owner financing. All right. So if you are interested in this property, what are the next steps? So I always recommend doing 2 things if a property really interests you. The first is to hold it, because many of our properties do go quickly. And we have found in the past that someone might go out to visit, they're really excited about the property, but by the time they get back, the property's gone. So we want to make sure that that never happens to you, which is why we created this hold feature. It's only $50 for 2 days. And you can hold for up to 8 days. The hold will take the property off market so no one else can buy it while you visit the property, call the county, call us, do whatever research you need to do to make sure that the lot really works for you. So that's the first step I always recommend, hold the property. And you can do that just by clicking buy or hold on the website and then going through the automated checkout process. The second step would be to schedule a call with us so we can talk about your questions, maybe go over owner financing terms if you did want to purchase with owner financing. And, you get to meet me, talk with me one-on-one, make sure that the lot works for you. So you can book a call with me. This is my calendar at call.gocap.com. I'll also note that if you are just starting to browse and you're not yet sure what property will work for you, you can also book a free land strategy call on this calendar. And on these calls, they're free. I just talk through your land buying goals with you and give you a few tips on how to maximize your land search and make sure you really get a property that works for you. Right. But if you are interested in this property, those are the 2 steps I recommend. Hold the property by going to our website and clicking buy or hold, and then booking a call with me to go over next steps, questions, and owner financing terms. And again, you can find all our properties at land.gocap.com. The property we're looking at today is number 831 on the website. And before we go, I do want to mention 2 other free things that we offer. The first is our free land giveaway. So twice a year, we do run our free land giveaway. The next one's coming up on July 4th. On July 4th, what we'll do is we'll give away the lowest value property in our inventory live on YouTube. And we do this just to get the word out about our company. So if you're interested in being in the running for a free property, you can go to freelandgiveaway.com to watch a quick 1-minute video on the giveaway and see what you have to do to participate. You can also just go to our YouTube channel homepage, search Gokcha Capital, and go down to Freeland Giveaway Promotion. The other thing I'll mention is that my partner and I are live every day at 5 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. We do free property reviews. So if you're looking at a bunch of different properties or one other property and you'd like us to review any of them for free, join any day at 5 p.m. Eastern and leave your property in the chat. So other than that, you can find all of our properties again at land.gocap.com. Today's property was number 531 on Carmen Way in Gordon County, Georgia. So thank you all for listening.